Go through the entire gewaltige, beautiful Sefer Haggadah. I think the ideal here is to give a taste, an idea of some of the basic ideas, highlights, things that can Be'ez Hashem change your understanding, appreciation of what goes on by the Seder. So really the first beginning, what's already unique about this Haggadah, it starts, a lot of Haggadah start with the Haggadah itself. Here it starts with Rosh Chodesh Nisan, first few pages, you look through how everything's a build-up, the Shabbos Haggadah, how that's the preparation for Pesach, and then the Dal Yomim, 4 days of Bikur, which is connected to 4 days, how we're checking ourselves from the 4 basic inyanim of Midas, which leads us into the B'dikas Chametz and the Bir Chametz. If you look on, just try to read a few different inyanim, page Zayin, page Ches, how B'dikas Chametz and Bir Chametz, the Churn Stokim is the inyan of Fashvish V'maisav, Yimashvish V'maisav, the Chametz, Ki Yedua is the inyan of the Eitz Hachaim, Midas Reis. Chametz is, so besides checking the actual Chametz itself, our avodah is to make sure that we are being boidek ourselves, to make sure the Yisar Shabi Isla, like the Gemara calls it, the Chametz within ourselves, we're trying to be mevayer. And on page Ches brings the tefillas that are printed in the Machzorim, of being mispal, that we should mevayer the chametz, the Eitz Hachaim, the outer Rami Kerbecha. Person should be mispal for the bir hara shaba'olam and the bir hara within ourselves, as Reb Chaim very often says. By any of these zmanim, a person should find something small, a little bit, to be makabel, to be careful about something. A little bit of shrius hamidas goes such a long way. How that's the ikr. B'dikas Chametz and Bir Chametz, and a murder gezach, the place can bring down a shayla if you have to wash your hands before B'dikas Chametz, before mitzvah, not necessarily mechuyev, so you shouldn't do it. The mashal, the place can bring it in Shulchan Aruch, that a person should wash his hands. Ve'ein ze migasya ruach me'achash b'dikas hachametz hibo l'taharas haregel. B'dikas Chametz, the Rishonim say you don't say Shechianu because it's the preparation for the Yontiv itself. It's part of the Tahara, the purity of the Yontiv. Imkei mitzvah chashuvihi ru'uya liyosef nekiyas. As we'll see in Hashem, the Gevaldik in of Rechitza of Nekiyas. But B'dikas Chametz specifically is the in of Nekiyas. Nekiyas from Midas Reis. That's why it's very understandable that the place can bring down the inyan of washing hands of Nikiyas, B'shas, B'dikas, and Bir Chametz. So obviously each thing that we're going to do is, we will have to mamish do B'kitz and Emetz, just to bring out some of the inyanim, and Haroitze La'ayin should see how each thing is mamish Gevaldik inyan for itself. On page Tezayin, we have the Hagdama to the Seder. The Ramchal writes Moridikal Shoynes, how the Seder that we're doing is we're reliving Yitzias Mitzrayim, and that was just Aschala when they left the Tumas Mitzrayim. But every year there is an avodah for us to continue the Yitzias Mitzrayim. And he brings the Moridikal Lashon. It's not just okay, we're coming, we may make a Seder. Hine zeh k'misha koitzev eitz echad. When you're banging, you have the wood chop, he's banging, each bang does a little bit more until finally he knocks it off l'gamri. V'chein anu oisim b'chol shana v'shana. Each year, it's not just another year, each year is making a bigger dent in the tumah, a bigger tar in the world, and we mis'ayr from the koyach of Yitzias Mitzrayim, the original one, until we're able, Be'ez Hashem, to be mischazik lahem shadov film at shigam, until we're able to finish in Gansen. Each year, as we'll see, the Nesivis writes in the Ma'aseh Nisim how the beginning. This is a big theme in the Haggadah. How the beginning of the Haggadah, the end of the Haggadah, it's one big hemshech. The beginning of the Haggadah talks about Yitzias Mitzrayim, the Yitzia from the Geulais Shahayu, and that's Ma'ayr, that's the first two cases, are Keneged Ha'itzav Ha'atzala, which is the Gulas Mitzrayim, and the Friedike Geulais, and that Al Yidei our Avodah Ma'ayr, the second two cases, which are Keneged Ga'alti V'Lakachti, which are the Geulais Hasidois. That's why the end of that God is all about the Leilon Hashem Leilonu, the Shimcha Ten Kavod, Zayim Mas Hashem Negiu Nisbachavai, all the inyanim of the Geula Seder Shloich Maschal Hagoyim, and until we reach the end. So there's one big Seder, there's one thread going through how the beginning of the Seder is Ma'ir the Koyach for the end of the Seder. So these two, this Ramchal and this Ma'is Nisim, is the thread which takes us through the entire Seder to help us reach the Geula that we're trying to be Ma'ir with our Maisim. And if you look on page Yud Zayin, we have this Be'ez Hashem many times through the Haggadah, a box which brings out, Avad, everyone should go through it carefully before Pesach, but a person wants to, catch a glimpse right before he starts each Inyan to what's to zero in on the main Nekudas, so he could quickly chaz over. So we have these things to help you along as you go along. So right before the Seder starts, we have the Iker Yisodus of the Leil Seder. A lot of these inyanim are mizbar in the back of the Haggadah. There are shmuzim, which each Inyan is explained by Riches. Here we bring a mamish b'kitzah just to help a person remind himself of the main Yisodus. So obviously everything has many inyanim to it, but there are four main Yisodus which Reb Chaim brings out, which are the things that we should be thinking about b'chlal by the Seder. Number one, the Seder Rishon is the Emunah in the Geula is the key to be Zoicha to the Geula. And as we'll see, each one, as we mentioned, Ma'asanisim, our Emunah in the Geula is what's Ma'ayr, the Geula Asida. So each one of these inyanim are going to be the Koyach to be Ma'ayr, the Geula Asida. So the first he said is Emunah, the God of Nincha B'Yem Ahu, to take out the Yisodus Emunah from Yitzias Mitzrayim. Al Yidei Zeh, like the Rishonim say, Anoich Hashem Elokecha Shetzeitzichem Et Mitzrayim, that's the Yisod of Emunah B'Yis HaMashiach. As the Eibishter took us out before, he'll take us out again. And the more Emunah we have, the more we could be Zoicha to the Geula. That's one very important Yisod and the thread of the Haggadah. Number two, the Inyan of Yitzias Mitzrayim was not just to make us free people. Like Reb Chaim says, in the days of Lincoln, they were slaves and now they're free. The Yisod is, as they state in Pasuk, is to become Avdei Hashem. So the Yisod of Yitzias Mitzrayim is to become Avdei Hashem. And the more we're Avdei Hashem, the more we could be Ma'ayr, the Geula, the Tefillah, Avodah Shabalev. And that's right to the thread that takes us through the Haggadah. The third Yisod is the Chavivus of Klal Yisrael, the Atavahatan Mikol Amim B'ni B'choy Yisrael. Again, each thing I'm saying Mamish B'kitzer. A person has to go through Barichas to understand them properly, but B'kitzer, the Chavivus of the Eibishter of Klal Yisrael B'ni B'choy Yisrael, Atavahatan Mikol Amim, the Eibishter chose us, and he chose us and gave us the Torah. And the more we're miscarried to the Eibush, the more we understand this Hanaga, we'll be Zeicha, we can Ma'ayr this Kesha Nitzchi, and we can be Zeicha to the Geula Asida, where it will be the Yesa Se'ez, the Yesa Oz, the Gevaldike Kesha, the Gevaldike Chavivus. And the fourth Yisod of the Seder is the Inna Makaras HaToiv. That person has to be Makir, the Gevaldike Tovus that the Eibush did for us then, and does for us Keseder, the Indian to be Makir, and all the different Tovus that we're Zeicha to. The more a person's Makir Toiv, the more he could be Zeicha to Geula. Chaim always says over the Gevaldike Loshen, he brings in the Hagdama, Misha'enu Makir B'Tovus Chaveroi, Chas v'Shalom, he could come to be Machish B'Tov of the Eibishter. It says by Moshe Rabbeinu, when the Eibishter told him to go to Mitzrayim, he said, I'm sorry, I have to first get permission. State the Lashon in the Medrash, Min shepasach Pesach Chaveroi Nafshi Chayev Loi. he wasn't masking to go until he got permission. Very similarly from Ramat Yisrael spoke about this barichas. The Hagdama to go into Mitzrayim was you had to have the Midah Hakaras HaToiv. Imagine the Eibishter, the God Adar comes to you and tells you, gives you a mission. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't go. You have to first get permission from my shver. Ramat Yisrael said then, I think most people would say, I'll let my shver know, maybe tell him I have a mission. Moshe Rabbeinu understood that it's not negeya to go on because he has Hakaras HaToiv to Yisro. If Yisro doesn't give him permission, then the Eibishter doesn't want him to go. That's why the first three makkos he wasn't able to do himself. Al Hakaras HaToiv. Chaim says over a Moridik Shita Mekabetz Mamash Bekitz and Nimitz. All Maisa in the Rif didn't want to pass on a certain shayla because he used to use the merchotz and he had Hakaras HaToiv for the merchotz. So mainly it wouldn't be roy for him to paskin. If he's going to do anything, it's felt in Hakaras HaToiv. If he'll do anything, it'll be yoytzim mishuras hamusav derech eretz, and that will be mishalim roa tachas toiv if he doesn't have that midah of Hakaras HaToiv, and that is true for a doimim, kol shkein for bas v'dam, kol shkein for the Eibishter. A person has to make sure to have the midah of Hakaras HaToiv. So Meila, that's the very important inyan of Hakaras HaToiv. In other words, not just to understand that the Eibishter did Gevaldik Anisim and to be Maker, but to appreciate what the Eibishter does for us, and Mamela we feel that we have to reciprocate, we have to do whatever we can. The Eibishter, the Lashon of the Mesilas Yesharim, when a person realizes what the Eibishter does for him, the least that we could do is to understand that we have to thank him, and we have to Mekayim all the mitzvahs. So Mamela, that is the Haschala, by Bimaka Toiv, for the Gevaldik Torahs that the Eibishter did and does for us. So Mamela, that's the Haschal, the sphere to Mekabel the Torah. The Inyan Levishas Kittel Mamash Bekitzer, the 2 times of the year, for those who have the minig obviously, is Inyan on the Kohen Gadol, wore white begadim, and similarly we have Avodah, just like the Avodah, the Kohen Gadol was one big Avodah to be bringing the Hashchina to the world. Kol ish ve'ish hu dugmas ha-Kohen Gadol shenichnas lefnai lefnim b'yom kippurim. We have a schus to be like the Kohen Gadol, who's doing this Gevaldik Avodah of the Seder, of bringing down the Hashras Hashchina al yidei our Avodah, the Leil Shimurim, like Chaim always says, take of a Talmid Chacham bracha. When we're miskarev to the Eibishter, it's a meal that brings bracha into the world, it brings shmir to the world. The Kohen Gadol and nichnas lefnai lefnim, whoever was zeichet to be there on Purim. Rabbi Chaim was speaking about the Marikoyin, the Kohen Gadol, the Rois Geshain, the Lichtigkeit from the Neshama. So we're zeich to have a little bit of that on the Leil HaSeder. That's the Inyan of the Levishas Kittel, because we have a Gevaldik Avodah of Havas HaGula. We bring the Gula. We're not just reminiscing of the good old times. Our Avodah, like the Ramchal says, is cutting another dent till we can be zeicha to bring the Gula Shleima. Kadesh, each one in Siman will try mamash to bekitzer. Kadesh is a little more about the Dal Kaisis. Kadesh is the Inyan of making Kiddush. The more a person has Kavana, every Kiddush, every Shabbos, every Yontif, Kol Shkein on this Heilige Yontif, the more a person prepares, the more a person thinks about Mekadesh, this Yet Shabbos, HaShabbos, V'Yisrael, V'Azmanim, the Gevaldik Kedusha that comes down Al Yidei Amiris HaKiddush. Person thinks about it, he has a Gevaldik Koyach to bring down. The whole Shmuel is about the Inyan of Yayin, why Yayin is the Pnimius of the Nichnas Yayin Yatzasai. It brings out the Pnimius of the Geffen. That's the Inyan that we say Al Kois, Kabbalah Hashafa, a lot of Inyanim, Ba'al Kopanim. Each one of the Al Kois is another Inyan. Again, we have here in the box to remember Bekitz and Nimitz. Like the Maisanisim was Miramis in the Swamish state. Each one was another Madrega of the Geula. The Lashon of the Poiskim, the Dal Kaisis, the Machlekes Rishayim, whether or not you say a brach on each one of the Kaisis. So the Shel, why there's no hefsek, why should you have to make another bracha? The minig of the Ashkenazim and Chasant is like the Rif and the Rambam that say to make a bracha on each one. and the Svardim grada Shulchan Aruch Paskins like the Rosh, not to make a bracha on the second and the fourth, but the lashon of the Rif is that you make a bracha on each one because each one is a mitzvah b'fnei atzmai. Shulchan Aruch and others say lashon, each one is a cheres u'mitzvah b'fnei atzmai. Each one is, the Mefarshim explain, each one is another madrega of cheres, and for some reason that's mechayev another bracha. Each one is another madrega of the geula, and each one is ma'ir another shefa into the seder. So Chaim explains like Tzeisi is Pashad. Till then they were like Ever Kanani, they had no Metzias. They were ganzen bottle, Ka'ubim b'me'imai, like the Lashon, Kachti Esem Goy Mikerev Goy. They were mamish like no Metzias Kalal. And the Ibisha took us out of that even before they came out of the ganze Shiba, but they became Ois Ever Kanani. And on the day this Koshel Kiddush, the first Madrega, were able to ma'ir the Koyach of Yitzia from these Inyanim of Koyach Satama. And there's a beautiful, each one of the Verta on Haggadah Vashtetza are Moedik, there's a beautiful shtickle. Each one of them is Kedai the whole Haggadah. But the shtickle on Shachiyanu goes through each thing, how a person, if he thinks about the Gevaldik Inyanim of the Leil HaSeder, what a person is going through, what he could be Zeicha to, if a person thinks about it a little bit, what he could be Zeicha to, he should say the Shachiyanu with a Meridika, Chuka, Eslavas, or Simcha Gedoyla. Person, Mamish Bekitzer, all the different mitzvahs that are going on this night, Mamish, we become millionaires. Schari Gadol Ma'oid, how a person could be Zeicha with every single thing that's going on this night. You could walk away, Mamish, a different person. And the Gevaldik Eskayvus that was Zeicha to come close to the Eibishter, Ali the Namuna and Akar Satoiv and all these Inyanim. And says over the Zayah, we have it printed. Chaim says about the Ikka is not the saying in the Zayah. Some people say it. The Ikka is to understand what's going on by this Gevaldik night. The Zayah says that the Eibishter is Misameach. He tells all the Malachim to come. Every person, wherever he might be, wherever he is, whoever is there, he's never alone. The Eibishter comes and he tells the Malachim to Freitzach. Look at what my Ban was speaking about. We have, Chaim said we should print the Zayah with Taich so people should understand the Gevaldik Zachen that are going on. So if a person can mention Bekitzer before you make Kiddush, mention what's going on tonight, we should thank the Eibishter, Shachiyanu, Kiyiman, V'yonu, that was Zeich to come to this night. Bring in this Gevaldik Hergish, this feeling. Everyone there will feel electricity in the air and feel the Gevaldik Simcha and Slavas when he's saying Kiddush. Urchatz spoke about the Indian of Nikias. We have Urchatz and Revachsa. The Indian of Nikias. When we wash our hands, the hands are the Indian of the Efes Kabel Hashem, the 10 fingers, the Indian of the Kabbalah Hashefa. So a person has to be rain. Whenever we wash ourselves before Shabbos, it's all the Indian of Nikias Haguf, which the Iker is the Nikias on the Shama, to make sure we rain Nikih Chapaim V'Alevov, to make sure that we rain from Gezel, Miyal V'Hashem, Nikih Chapaim V'Alevov. The Iker is to be the Nikias Hagashmis, which is Moira Nikias Aruchnis. So every time before we wash, before davening, before eating a Sudi, each one is the Indian. I was once with a younger man by one of the Stanam Lamakas, and Chaim came in, he was washing his hands. He told me, look how Chaim's washing his hands. You could see, it's not there you got your washing hands. It was a ganze Zach. It's a ganze Avodah washing hands. The Dr. Moshe says, the Haggadah is like an Indian of Tefillah. On the Misapim, Kvoida Kelu, Shvachav, Yisale. So Mela, that's another Indian why we do Nantila. This is all to Me'ir and Nikiyas. The more a person is naki, the more a person feels a reinkite. Again, Chaim mentioned to Mahar B'tshuva, to Makabel something, to find a way to become a little bit more rain. To Masari Mahar B'tshuva. Chaim said he was by a get, and Ramosha Big Zechon told the Eidim, now you have to Mahar B'tshuva before we start the Gevaldik Haggadah. We have to be Noki, we have to Masari B'tshuva to be able to be Makabel the Gevaldik Shefa that's coming. Karpas. Now Yisrael of Aveyu, Karpas is Yishala Tinoika, is every person, so page Chavches, every person should feel like a his chadshus. Shouldn't be just, oh, you're doing the same thing, oh, we did this last year, the year before. Every year, Chaim says, Mitzrayim, Pesach starts again the new year, but not just you go back to first grade again. You're supposed to go on to a higher level, on a higher level. It's a new Leda, but it should be on a higher level. So it should be with his chadshus, with his pilots, to find new inyanim, not just kmitzvahs anoshim l'mada. Yachatz. As we know, we cut the matzah. We have the smaller chelik, which is halach ma'anya, lechem oini, and then the chelik gadol is for afikoymen, which is moira how mitoich tzar amtziyim b'tusu revacha. From the same matzah, it's not just a different thing. Person has tzaras, and then you hope for the light at the end of the tunnel. It's not just the light at the end of the tunnel. Ben Yonya says, "Hachoshech is the sibas ha'oirah." The darkness is what brings us to the light. The only way to get to the other side, you have to go through the tunnel. The tunnel, the koishi, the shibud, the tzaras that we go through are all here to help us get to where we need to get to. So we shtel es havek. We understand this b'shas ashuris hamatzis. Again, we have a little box just to remind that the tzaras and the koishi in this world are all here to help us reach the gewaldike tzofan, the schar hatzofan l'olam haba. Here we have on page Lam Aleph the Zohar Kodesh mentioned some of the words before. Kodshabruchu chodi bahu sipur. The Eibishter is happy. He's misamech. B'shas when we say it over. Beishaita kodshabruchu kapamayidli. He gathers together all the malachim. He tells them, go and listen to the Yidden wherever you might be, whatever you think the Eibishter wants to hear, and all the malachim come and it's such a gewaldikus oirus to realize what us little people, what we could do with our Seder. Magid, page Lamed Beis. There's two inyanim in the Taich of Magid. There's more inyanim, but b'kitzer, one is the in the Magid is to say new inyanim, to be marchev and bring out new inyanim. The Malbim says, and another nakuda is to bring out the deeper panimius inyan, to be maimek, to bring out tifer. A person has people that can hear deeper yisoidis amun, deeper yisoidis in Akar Satoiv, in all these inyanim avada. But even on the Oifen Pasha, Chaim says the Makis, talk about the Makis, speak about how each one was. We have all riches in each one of the Makis, how they relate to us today. And each person can be misayir. We have on page Amagim the little box to be misayir, b'shas ha'Haggadah, not just to say the words, but to understand and appreciate. Try to get a little deeper, a little more in yanim. We're going to skip a little bit now to the after the Haggadah. Every page in Haggadah is this beautiful verte. The person has the time before to look through them. Each one, kedarka. Chaim always has a musa haskell, something to take out with you, not just a nice vart. Nice gematria, something yisoidistic, something lamaisa, something to take with you for the whole year. Turn to page Kuf Ches. After the whole Haggadah, we have the Koi Sheni. Again, we're after this whole Haggadah, another person should be holding on another madregi. He's ready for the next Kais. B'tzalti eschem. Page Kuf Ches is the Indian of becoming Oisa Avadim and Gansen, that they were nitzal from the avodah and ganzen, and this is the end of the Yitzia Mitzrayim. The famous Chasam Sofer says we say the bracha after the Haggadah, like a ger, because if it becomes Yid, that's when you could say the bracha. That's why we don't make a bracha before the Haggadah. We say the bracha here. Asher galanu v'gol saviseinu. We're also nigal. We're also going out of Mitzrayim. We're also having zeichet to become nischadish. Agula Seinu, Abudus Nafshenu, Agula Gashmis, Agula Ruchnis. Page Kuftes, we have again the Inya Rochza, even though we wash again. Again, Chaim says, Doim Tekoin Gadol. Another Madrega, each, like we have on Yom Kippur, the Vida, another Vida, each one is, takes away another Mesach HaMavdel, another little bit of Tshuva, another little bit of Nikiyas, another Hira Tshuva. Each one helps us be zeicha before we come to these mitzvahs. Chil's matzah, Oorah, Korech, Avikoyven, Zacha, Murdika mitzvahs. The famous Chasam Sofer says It's the only mitzvah, b'zman hazeh, mitzvah achila min haTorah. So avad the person wants to be as tahor as possible. Page Kofyud, we have the Inyan Moitzi Matzah. So again, there's a long shmuz in the back, but just to bring the kids and imits, some of the basic yisoides a person should be thinking about. B'shas achilas matzah, but the person has to make sure it's not just eating it's to oinam olav dvarim habi. We spoke b'shas the Haggadah, the matzahs are megula, kilu, they become a chefsa shal mitzvah. We speak about it, and then we eat the matzahs. These are some of the basic inyan of matzah is moira, that our chayris is not just to become free, it's to become avdei Hashem, as we mentioned, and the matzah is meruchik from all inyan of taiva. There's no additives. Gaiva, it's flat, doesn't rise. Atzas has to be done with the gevaldik zrizos. Person has to. That's the inyan of matzah. That the ikar is the chayris haneshama. That's the avodah. That's why we get rid of all the chometz, which is moira on all the things fakert, taiva and gaiva, atzlos. Another inyan of matzah is to appreciate how the rega that the yidden had to go out. They just didn't wait a second. You have a piece of dough, wait 1 extra second, you can turn from chayv creases into a mitzvah chashuva ad moed. Every second makes a difference. Every second, a second that a person could use for ruchnius is chosher ad moed. The in of bitachon, that they ate the matzah even mitzrayim before the geula, to moira that they were ready to leave. Lechem oini, as we mentioned before, the 2 parts of the matzah. The oini gufa, the choshech, the tunnel, is what brings the light. Page Kufya Beis is the inyan mar. The inyan mar is the merirus. Chaim always says over the nesivis, the mar should have been first and then the matzah. The inyan is to bring out the ikar, is the becoming avdei Hashem. That's the yisoid. And we eat the mar to understand. If you understand by Maras Chayayim, then we appreciate more the Gevaldik Geula. Another inyan is the inyan of Noise Ba'oil, Im Chaverei, to understand and to feel the Koish HaShibud that they went through, as well as all of the tzaris and all of the shibud that anyone has anywhere, in any place in the world. We should feel it and feel that we want to be Zoicha, we're being mispal to be Zoicha. Everyone should be Zoicha to the Gula Pratis and the Gula Klalis. Koyrech on page Kofir Gimel, one of the inyanim of Koyrech is inyan Hamtokas Adin. Take the Mara and you put it in between the Masa, similar to the Shvarim Trua, which the Shla says is the inyan of Hamtokas Adin in between the Tekiah, to be Koyvish to Midas Adin, and a person, like Chaim always says, the ikar is for a person himself to work on himself, to find something, some way, somewhere where he's going to be kovish his midas hakas, and that is the best way to be ma'ir this hanhaga l'mayla of midas hadin. Alidei our his oiris of midas harachmim and kvishas hadin. That's how we're ma'ir the idin of kvishas midas hadin l'mayla. It's the Indian of Krepelach, Hamantashin. Shulchan Aruch is very important. Chaim says it's not just, now finally, whenever you get there, the zone, I don't know what time to get to Shulchan Aruch, but not just because you're hungry, but Shulchan Aruch is very much a part and parcel of, it's one of the simanim. It's a part of the avodah, just like the Klal Yisrael became the Klal Yisrael, and our achila is also chashiv. Shlomim, that's a guy can have a shlom only by Klal Yisrael. Their inyan of achila, with achila is heilig, the achila is chashav. That was neschadish by Eitz Mitzrayim. So not only the matzah, everything the Shulchan Aruch brings down is inyan to have b'aseba the entire suda, because that's all part of the hayras hacheres. Like the Ramchal says, part of that is showing our cheres that breaks the sitra achra. So all of this is ma'ir the geula. Shulchan Aruch is very much a hemshech of the Seder, of this avodah of achila, laharis acheres, to show that we are free from the Yetzer Hara, Tzofin, we as we said already, is the Indian of the Oisha, which comes from after the Tzaras, after the Koishi. Everything that we go through is all to bring us to the light at the end of the tunnel, even if it looks dark now, but we know, and we're maimin, that it's all going to bring us to Gewaltige Sachen. And the Ramchal says, Amur de Galoshan, page Kuf Tazayin, it's in the box. Just like Kizayis HaMatzah Sha'oichem Lahamshech HaMazal Mekudash, it's to bring down this Kedusha. Kadesh Yishar Tikun Chol Shana, we want this Tikun to last for the entire year. So Chlecha V'koyim Achikach, we eat Davkim at the end and not eat anything afterwards. Shekemoi, She'ein HaTam Sarman HaPeh, just like the taste is supposed to stay in your mouth. Kach Ein HaOrah Sarman HaNeshama, the light, the Kedusha, the Gewaldike Ha'ara that we were zeicher to on this night should stay with us the entire year. That's what is the Avikoyim. You're not supposed to have anything. The taste should stay in your mouth, and the taste should stay in your neshama. Similar to the Tkiya Gedoyel at the end, that's the blast that's supposed to keep us going. Comes to Baruch, we have so much to thank the Eibishter for. Such gewaldige mitzvahs that we're zeicher to on this night. Every time you bench, it's the Eibishter Zon Mufani Seisanu. Over here, we're zeicher to such moedike mitzvahs. It's the millionaire night that we're zeicher to one mitzvah after another, to thank the Eibishter. Page Kuf Chav Gimel, after benching, as we mentioned, the Maisanisim now starts the chelik of the Seder, where we'll be Ma'ir, the Gula Asida, V'ga'alti Eschem Mizrayin, and two is the next Madrega, the Gula from the Tumas Mitzrayim. We're able to leave the Eitz Hachara, leave the Tumah. There's a few vet there. Chaim brings out that this is the Yitzia. Every year we have to find a way of leaving the Meitzarim, the boundaries, get out of the box. After Yitzis Mitzrayim is a time to jump out of the box. And it's the third case, which is Ma'ir. Every time we bench, we bring down the Shefa from our Achila, and the case after this Birkas Hamazon is Ma'ir, the Shefa from the benching. Page Kuf Chavdal, we come to Halal. And Halal, the Rishonim, it's not just Tam. Okay, now that we talked about going out of Mitzrayim, now let's thank Hashem. It's very much a part of the mitzvah, the Rambam, the Tefachinach, Semufurish. It's a chelik of the mitzvah. U'lahalal l'shabeach Hashem yizbarach al kol nisim sha'asa. U'v'hoidois lo yizbarach al ma shegalon michasadav. The more you do it, Dr. Rambam, is Yosef Tov. Chalmar b'reizim meshubach. It goes into the mitzvah, you're doing more of the mitzvah. Vos me'et, Chalmar b'sabes Mitzrayim is not just talking about the nisim, it's also finding ways of hakaras hatov, of being moida, saying halal, nishmas, all these actions is part of the mitzvah. The more a person finds ways of saying haidah, the rest of the mitzvah goes into Chalmar b'reizim meshubach. And as we mentioned before, Chaim says from the seforim, there's Indian to find personal haidas. Every person has things to find that he could thank the Eibishter for. So to be part of such a heilige moisid, be mekarev acheinu b'nei Yisrael. Every person has zachen that he can thank the Eibishter for. And this is the opportune time when a person should find this is all part of the mitzvah, zagen the Rishonim. The haidah, the halal, this is all part of the mitzvah. And this is Ma'ir the Gula Asida. And that's why we start in Halal Lon Hashem Leilanu, as we mentioned before. Come to the last case. Case V, page Kuf Mem Aleph. The final case of Lakachti Eschem Milam, this is about the Tachlis of the Yitzia, is not just to leave the Tumas Mitzrayim, but to be able to come to Am Hashem, Ashabach Haman Mikam. So that's the Spitz Cheirus, that's the Iker Cheirus, that's the final level of Cheirus, the Kaiser V. And with Ma'ir, after we said the Halal and the Nishmas, all these inyanim of Geula Asidim, Veis Mashiach, that we in Beis Hamikdash, this kais is again to bring down the Shefa. You hold the kais with the hands, and A cup is the Indian, all arichas shmuz about the Indian of a kais shel yayin. All these inyanim are to bring out the gewaldige shefa that we bring down in the second chelik of the Haggadah. Finally, we come to the Indian of Nirtza, page Kuf Mem Beis. Nirtza, two understandings of Nirtza. One is Pashat that we're saying that we did such a gewaldik avodah, memela, we are betuach, we're sure that we were zeicha, and the Eibishter was nisrat about the Seina. Chaim says avad is much more to it. It's also bakasha, it's a tefillah that we mevakish that as much as we tried, we want the Eibishter should be meritza in our avodah. Chaim says a moedik avot from Moshe Feinstein, that the inyan vidim meiser asisi k'cha shetzi visani, person says chatasi, even if he doesn't have all the kavanis he's supposed to, but he said chatasi. But to say asisi vidim meiser asisi k'cha shetzi visani, that is a gewaldige, a big achrayis, a person to really be able to say truly I did whatever I could, whatever I should. But we try our best, and we hope, and we are mispal. David should be meritza with our Seder Haggadah. Again, this was all mamash just bekitz and nimritz, and we'll end off again with the gewaldik koloshin of the Ramchal, as we mentioned, that each year when we do this, we are ma'ir the koyach of the Hashras Hashchina that came down Shas Yitzis Mitzrayim, and each year when we bang in the tree with Zoicha to bring down the Gewaldike another little bit. Say with the Lashon one more time, the Lashon of the Ramchal says, V'tikon sheniskan oz mischaskan hamshach adol v'fnim ad shigomer. Each one we bang kmi shekoitzev eitz echot shemaka akor achar akor ad shekoitzev oitz legamer to knock it down in ganzen. Cheno no oitzim b'chol shana b'shana mis'oirim b'koyach harishon sheyer we mis'oir with the tzitzis mitzrayim chayvim leisatzka yotz mitzrayim, and we bring it to the next level, until halavai we should be zeicha to bring to that last knock and be zeicha to the Gula Shleim and Amen.